We are live right now.
Is what?
But I think we are live right now.
I'm sorry, I walked away. What happened?
I think we are live right now.
Yes, I just saw the little indicator.
And Mayor, we're now all here.
Okay.
Give me just one moment, please. Okay, you may get started, Mayor Serta.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Here.
Councilmember Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Present.
Councilmember Francis. Here. Thank you. All members of the council are present this evening, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we need to go into closed session. Hopefully, we'll only be there about 30 minutes. But before we do that, Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on any closed session items?
No, Madam Mayor, we don't.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to go to closed session. We'll ask everybody if they can please log off and go to our next procedure for closed sessions. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Okay.
We're ready to get started, Mayor Serta.
Okay. Let's everyone make sure that your phones are muted. Okay, so we are ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. Madam City Clerk, will you call roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Here.
Councilmember Henderson,
Here.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Present.
Councilmember Francis. Here. All members of the council are present.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Attorney, do we have anything to report from closed session?
No, Madam Mayor, direction was provided by staff, but there was no reportable action taken tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me just read this here. In order to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus, Governor Newsom has signed AB 361. Please be advised that the council chambers are closed to the public and that some or all of the Gardena City Council members may be attending this meeting telephonically. If you would like to participate in the meeting, you can participate via the following options. You can view the meeting live on Spectrum Channel 22 or online at youtube.com/City of Gardena. The second way to participate is prior to the meeting, you can email the Deputy City Clerk at publiccomments@cityofgardena.org by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting and write public comments in the subject line. The third way to participate is during the meeting is via Zoom webinar. You can join via the internet at https://us02wb.zoo.j/843084523336. Or you can call in by phone at area code 669-900-9128. And the meeting ID number is 843-0845-2336. Press 9 to raise your hand and 6 to unmute when prompted to. If you wish to speak live on a specific agenda item during the meeting, you may use the raise your hand feature during the item you wish to speak on. For non-agenda items, you'll be allowed to speak during oral communication, and during public hearings, you'll be allowed to speak when I open the public hearing. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council will be given 3 minutes to speak. The City of Gardena thanks you in advance for helping us to take all the precautions to prevent the spreading of the COVID-19 virus. So at this time, we are going to move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, that will be led by Councilmember Henderson, and immediately afterwards will be led in invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Rodney Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's always an honor. Colleagues, City Manager, City Clerk, City Attorney, community, please put your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight, and we are just so thankful for all that you have blessed us with during this past year of 2021. We're thankful for the blessings. We're thankful for all the grace that you have given us. Father, we pray for the new year that's coming up, and we just pray that it will be filled with hope and love and things that are productive. We pray that this pandemic, any hate, violence, and prejudice that may come will be extinguished by you, and that we will all love and want and be with each other, helping one another. Father, we continue to pray for those that are not being vaccinated. Father, we just pray for their safety. We pray for their health and that they will continue to survive without the vaccination. And Father, we pray for our communities, our leaders, and our educators. Father, we pray that they continue to be diligent in the work that they perform for us every day, keeping us safe, making good decisions. And Father, lastly, we just pray for us as a council again, that we continue to do the great things that we do for our citizens in our city to make sure that we are the gem of the South Bay. So Father, with all those things that we have, we thank you, we love you, and for your Son and his sake we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. also want to thank Councilmember Henderson for leading us in tonight's Pledge of Allegiance, and also thank Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka for leading us in tonight's invocation. With that, we're going to move on to presentations. Tonight, we have a legislative update by State Senator Stephen Bradford.
Muted. All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. It's truly an honor to be back here, and I am doing my annual legislative update as I started 12 years ago when I left this council, first representing you as an assembly person, as now as a senator. I have come back every year to provide a legislative update of the measures that I have authored and have been implemented into law with a signature by the governor. And despite the pandemic, we've had a very, very productive year. We all, as legislators, were asked to reduce our bill count to only 12 measures. Of those 12, 8 of my measures got to the governor's desk, 7 of which were signed into law, and unfortunately 1 was vetoed. And I will start with the first one that the governor signed, and one that is directly tangible to the city of Gardena and as well as the state and the nation. And that's SB 2, better known as the Kenneth Ross Jr. Police Decertification Act, a measure that was named after a Gardena resident, a young African-American male who was killed 3 years ago by a Gardena police officer, simply running away from the police. Individual whose grandparents lived in the neighborhood on 134th Street. And I want to first thank Councilwoman Paulette Francis for her early endorsement of this measure. It was critically important, and also recognize the mayor and our police chief, Safel, for being at Raleigh Park on October 10th when the governor signed this important measure. This bill simply allows California to join the 46 other states in having a fair and transparent way of decertifying officers who have committed egregious acts, crimes of moral turpitude, sexual harassment, acts of violence, similar to what we're hearing in our neighboring city of Torrance. And 3 years ago, when I heard about Mr. Ross being killed, the first thing I said was, who shot him? And when the name was given to me, it was unfamiliar to me, because as an individual who's grown up in Gardena, who's been on first name basis with people such as your Mayor Pro Tem Rodney Tanaka when he wore that uniform, former Deputy Chief Goebel and JB and Lobo and, Yvette Evans. I can go on and on and on. Gonzalez, all the folks that we have called our friends in the city. I was totally unfamiliar because this individual had transferred from the Orange County Police Department, where he had been involved in 3 questionable shootings. Had SB 2 been passed in the state of California, very likely Mr. Ross would still be alive, because this individual probably would not have been hired by the city of Gardena. This allows for a fair, transparent way of looking at and evaluating the actions and conduct of law enforcement and establishing trust in our community, which is so vitally important when you talk about law enforcement. Here in California, we can take the license away from a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, even get rid of bad elected officials. We can get rid of men and women of God who are pastors. But up until now, we couldn't do that. It shouldn't have been easier to take the license away from a barber who gives you a bad fade, or a beautician who gives you a bad perm, than an officer who takes someone's life unjustifiably. So SB 2 allows us now to do that. It allows us to do it in a fair and transparent way. It allows even for suspension of a license versus totally revocation of a license. So it allows, as I stated, California to join 46 other states who've already saw it fitting and necessary to have such an act. Next, we'll move on to SB 796, better known as the returning of the Bruce Beach property. As you all should be familiar with, Bruce's Beach was a piece of property in Manhattan Beach acquired by an African-American couple, Charles and Willa Bruce, in 1912 for $1,200. And from the day one that they opened this facility, it was immediately successful. It was a lodge, bathhouse, cafe, and serving African-Americans adhering to the Jim Crow laws of the land that existed in the early 1900s. And as stated, it was immediately successful, and many folks in Manhattan Beach were outraged, as well as the Ku Klux Klan, of the immediate success of it, that they immediately start harassing not only the tenants, but the Bruces themselves, set fire to the lodge on numerous occasions, vandalized the patrons' cars, and various all kind of different levels of harassment. But despite all of that, the lodge survived and was successful for 12 years. And at that point, the city of Manhattan Beach took it upon themselves to use the law to commit a crime and take the property through the eminent domain under the guise that they needed to build a park. As we all know, a park wasn't built for almost 30 years. The property was then transferred to the state of California. The state of California held the property until 1995, at which time they transferred it to the county of Los Angeles. And as you are aware, there is now a lifeguard station that sits on this property. This property is now being returned to the heirs, the descendants of Charles and Willa Bruce. We just completed the deed in the state just this week, and the county will now finish the transfer before the end of the year to the heirs of Charles and Willa Bruce. This horrific crime denied this family not only of their business, but generational wealth. We could very well have Bruce Beach lodges and resorts all across the West Coast, if not all across this nation. But again, due to the racist acts of the city of Manhattan Beach. And I want to thank the governor, who again saw the importance of not only coming to Gardena and signing SB2, but coming to Manhattan Beach on the side of Bruce's Beach and signing this piece of legislation as well. And happy to say that these two pieces of legislation received nationwide recognition and some world recognition, because it shows what atonement can look like, and the returning of the property of Bruce's Beach, and the fact that California is leading in police reform. SB 567, determinate sentence. It just requires the court in criminal sentencing procedures to only impose the upper or maximum term if sufficient aggravated facts are presented in court. Further permits the defendant and other parties to dispute the facts of record or present additional facts at the time of sentencing. And many times you heard individuals will say, oh, he or she was a gang member, with no proof, simply because they lived in the wrong neighborhood or associated with the wrong crowd. That will no longer fly. SB 586, criminal administrative fees, eliminates and reduces a lot of assessments and collections of administrative fees imposed against people and criminal justice system. Many of these fees to be eliminated, I should say, but not limited to the cost of collection and restitution, installment payments, return checks, failure to appear, even asking for one's records to be sealed, or medical procedures, rehabilitation certificate. Many times people were charged for that and they couldn't afford it, and it would deny them the right to move forward with their life. So many of these fees have been eliminated. Next is SB 655, which is insurance diversity, which simply requires our insurance companies here in the state of California to work and make sure that they contract and procure with women-owned, minority-owned, and disabled veteran-owned businesses. It also asks for the diversity voluntarily of their corporate board and makeup. Honored to say that this bill was sponsored by our insurance commissioner, former state senator, Commissioner Ricardo Lara. SB 694, it was Utility Workforce Diversity Act, which, as we all know, we're dealing with wildfires all throughout the state of California. This bill simply asks that those men and women who are helping to abate wildfires, be it through the Conservation Corps or some of the inmate crews that work out here and doing all the heavy lifting and doing all the frontline work, that once they're no longer employed by the Conservation Corps, or if they're no longer incarcerated, that they are considered for employment with our utility corporations. And we're working with CDCR to make sure that that happens. Next is SB 26, referred to as Fair Pay to Play Act 2.0. As you all know, I authored SB 206 2 years ago. The Fair Pay to Play Act was the first bill in the nation that afforded our college athletes the right to monetize their name, image, and likeness. When we passed this bill in 2019, 18 other states followed suit. And last year and early this year, the NC2A tried to implement their own so-called Fair Pay to Play Act that tried to override that which we did in California. So our bill simply moves up our activation date to September of this year. Our bill wasn't really supposed to go into effect till January of 2023. It allowed us to move our bill into effect, and college athletes have already taken advantage of this. As we all know, it's primarily African-American athletes who put the butts in seats in all these arenas all across this country. But who's benefited so far the most since it's been this measure has been passed is female athletes, because as we all know, there's very few opportunities for professional opportunities for female athletes. So it's provided them opportunities to monetize, again, their name, image, and likeness like any other individual, any other student. And its time has come, because most of these athletes have been treated as chattel over the years. So those are the 7 measures, just real quick, and I'll just highlight some of the budgetary successes that we were able to achieve. I was able to secure $140 million of direct impact on this district, $60 million to Cal State Dominguez Hills for infrastructure improvements, $50 million for Charles Hughes University. Outside of historically Black colleges, graduates more African-American medical professions than any other university in the country. $10 million for Martin Luther King Hospital that serves the city of Gardena and many of the South Bay communities. Even though folks want to deny the fact, it has a 10-mile radius, and many folks find themselves at Martin Luther King Hospital, which is a quality hospital. $8.5 million for the city of Inglewood for their street improvements, for facade improvements, to prepare them not only for the upcoming Super Bowl in February of next year, but also the Olympics in 2028. $6 million for the Alta C program, which is a STEM and workforce development facility out in San Pedro. $1.2 million for the Boys and Girls Club of the Harbor area, the Cheryl Green Center, a young African-American young lady student at Banning who was killed a number of years ago by gang violence. And so it's a center there in her name. So we'll revitalize that center and make sure that young folks in the South Bay area have a safe place to meet, study, and just congregate and do whatever they want to do there. And $3.5 million for the Los Angeles Black Workers Center. It's a workforce demonstration project that assists workers in obtaining government jobs. And finally, $1 million for the Mervyn Dimely Institute that's established also at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And then I'll just highlight in cannabis, regardless of where you stand on cannabis, it's legal in California. I did the first social equity bill in the nation, SB 1294, and last year I authored SB 595, which is a fee waiver and deferral. We were able to secure another $50 million this year, $20 million additional funding for local equity grant programs, and another $30 million for fee waiver and deferral for licenses and operation costs. So many agree, groundbreaking legislation with the fee waiver and deferral. I just left Atlanta last week at the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, and this was one of the bills that they highlighted, as well as SB 2 and at Bruce's Beach. So I will end there, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Okay, thank you, State Senator. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
I don't have a question, Madam Mayor, but just a comment. Senator Bradford, I just want to thank you for all your hard work and efforts and helping to keep Gardena on the map. You know, we appreciate that. So thank you so much for all you do for us and all that you may do in the future as well.
Without a doubt. I'm Gardena through and through. It gave me my start politically, and I still live here, and I'm not going anywhere. So Gardena is always going to be at the forefront of everything I do. Thank you. And again, thank you for your early support of SB2.
Okay, any more questions or comments? Okay, I guess it's
too easy. Rodney, you don't even have a question. Okay, I can't believe it.
Guess you covered everything. All right, thank you very much. We appreciate the update.
Thank you, and I wish everybody a happy holiday and a safe new year. Thank you.
Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Move over here. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that update. Hopefully next time Gardena will get some money like those other cities like Inglewood and so on. And just one quick note, I know it was mentioned that I was there for the signing of SB2. Just a quick note, I was there in protest, not in support of it. So with that being said, let's move on to item number 5B, which is recognition of the City of Gardena's Transportation Department of the 2021 American Public Transportation Association Bus Safety Gold Awards. And that's going to, be presented by a representative from Holly Mitchell's office, Ms. Ara An. Is she present with us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Gardena City Council. My name is Ara An, and I am a field deputy from LA County 2nd District Supervisor Holly Mitchell's office. On behalf of Chair Mitchell and 2nd Supervisorial District, I would like to congratulate and appreciate Gardena City for winning 2 national awards for American Public Transportation Association. As we learned about these achievements, our office has created a scroll to recognize and appreciate your leadership. The scroll that I would like to present tonight is here. And the scroll right here says, with sincere congratulations and best wishes, the Board of Supervisors of the County of Los Angeles does hereby congratulate the City of Gardena's G-Trans on being awarded with 2 awards from the American Public Transportation Association on Bus Safety Gold Award and Bus COVID-19 Response and Recovery Gold Award. So again, congratulations. And also I want to take this time to appreciate all G-Trans staff and Gardena City staff who work tirelessly to ensure that Gardena residents can get closer to normalcy. I would like to appreciate Director Stephanie Santin, Mr. Clint Osorio, Mayor Tasha Serta, the City Council, and many others who have been amazing partners to our office. Please know that our office is here for Gardena community, and our team is working hard to ensure that LA County residents can recover safely from the pandemic. I appreciate this opportunity to present, and with that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give them, a round of applause for presenting that. I don't know, is Mr. Crespo on? Would he like to say anything?
Oh, good evening, everyone.
Okay, I was going to say, put him on the spot.
Good evening, everyone. And just wanted to say on behalf of all the employees at the City of Gardena's G-Trans, we're honored to accept this recognition. Their hard work was paid off, and thank you for acknowledging us. And we are very gracious in accepting this award. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, very befitting for them. Okay, let's move on here. No more proclamations, appointments, consent calendar. Before we move on to the consent calendar, Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on any consent calendar items?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Does any member of the council wish to pull any items off the consent calendar to be discussed separately? I have one item that I need to pull only for the purpose of, it's a typo and just so that it gets corrected. It's item number 8G under Human Resources, and I was wondering if somebody would second that just so we can get it straight for the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any other items that need to be pulled? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item number 8G?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see who made the first, but I think it was second by Councilmember Cascanian.
Ron, you want to take it? I'll take it.
I think Mark did it.
Go ahead. Give it to Mark.
Okay.
Give it to Mark.
Madam City Clerk, a motion was made by Councilmember Henderson and seconded by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, if we could go to item number 8G here under the personnel report here. And I apologize for being so picky, but this just kind of stuck out here. On page 1 here where it says reporting the count of confirmed COVID-19 employee cases, There's some typos in items number A through H. For instance, on the first line, it says the number of employee cases, it's 88, but then we have 92 in the parentheses. Further down under item number E, it says transportation 27 and it's 29. Item number F, it says 30 and then it's 32. Item G is 11 and it says 12. And then item H, it says 12 and it's 13. So if we could just maybe get those corrected by the next council meeting.
Madam Mayor will do so.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, let me ask you a quick question. I mean, not clerk, Madam City Attorney, do we still officially vote on this here or do we wait until the next meeting to correct that?
You would still vote on it, subject to the corrections that have been made for the record.
Okay, got it. Okay, so at this time, can I get a motion to accept this with the corrections to be made?
Someone?
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion by Councilmember Kaskinen and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Kaskinen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to Planning and Environmental Quality Commission Act. Item number 10A regarding the December 7th, 2021 meeting. The action at this time was the Planning Commission voted 3-2, approving resolution number PC 14-21, recommending that the city adopt urgency ordinance number 1838 and ordinance number 1839. So at this time, no action is going to be needed because this item is going to be scheduled for our January the 11th, 2022 meeting. So just a point of reference here that we'll be just receiving and following that here.
Madam Mayor, a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
It's not the urgency ordinance. What is meant by urgency ordinance? I'm not quite clear on that in regard to this particular item.
Okay.
Councilwoman Francis, the item that the Planning Commission, they voted on a recommendation. The recommendation is they voted 3-2 to make a recommendation to the council. However, the council is going to have the item before it in January. So you will have a full hearing on the item. What an urgency ordinance is an ordinance that goes into effect at that moment of the time that you actually vote on it. You don't have a second reading on it. The difference between a regular ordinance and an urgency also requires a 4/5 vote in order for that to be passed. But again, the council will have this item fully before it come in January. So nothing goes into effect as of now. All the Planning Commission has done is made a recommendation. Does that answer your question, Councilwoman Francis?
Is that the same as an emergency ordinance to not? Would that be the same if you wanted to say not implement it or would it have to happen now?
Normally an ordinance requires a first reading, a second reading, which is the second meeting, and it doesn't become the law of the city until 30 days after the second reading. That's when it becomes, that's a regular ordinance. An urgency ordinance becomes the law of the city on that night that it's voted on. And it only requires one meeting. But it does require a 4/5 vote. That is the difference between an urgency ordinance and, there's always special circumstances why you would have an urgency ordinance. For example, in this situation that you want this to go into effect right away.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? No? Okay, with that being said, let's move on to oral communications. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on any oral communications?
No, Madam Mayor, I do not see any hands up.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, we're going to move on to item number 11A, which is a departmental item. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 11A, the City of Gardena audit reports for fiscal year ended June 30, 2021. Annual comprehensive financial report otherwise known as ACFR, ACFR, and the Family, Child Care, and G-Trans reports. Presented for City Council to receive and file are audited financial statements, financial reports for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021, as prepared by the city's contracted auditing firm, the Poon Group, LLP, an independent public accounting firm fully licensed and qualified to perform audits to state and local governments in the state of California. The goal of the independent audit is to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements of the city for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021 are free of material misstatements. There were no findings in the audit of the financial statements. The annual comprehensive financial report, ACFR, June 30, 2021, the financial statements included the ACFR represent all city funds. City management is responsible for the accuracy of the data, the fairness and the completeness of the presentation, and inclusion of all disclosures that are necessary to enable the reader to understand the city's operations. The report contains a citywide view of all governmental and business type activities, as well as focus on the financial position and operating results of the city's major funds. The auditors issued an unmodified opinion that based upon their audit, the city's financial statements are presented fairly as of June 30th, 2021, and changes in financial position and cash flows are in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP in the United States. For the Family Child Care Program report, June 30th, 2021, issued with an unmodified opinion that the financial statements present fairly in all material aspects, the financial position of the program as of June 30th, 2021, and the result of its operations for the year then ended in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP in the United States. And lastly, G-Trans Enterprise Fund, June 30th, 2021, issued with an unmodified opinion that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, the financial position of G-Trans as of June 30th, 2021, and the results of its operations and cash flows for the year ended in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP in the United States. There is no financial impact. What's required tonight is to receive and file. And we have our partner with the Poon Group, Mr. Ken Poon, to provide us with a report and a short presentation.
Great, thank you.
Hello, Ken.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Again, my name is Ken Poon. I'm the managing partner and the engagement partner on the audit of the City of Gardena fiscal year end June 30, 2021. The city engaged us to perform the audit. As what you see so far, you have the ACFR, the annual comprehensive financial report, the G-Trans financial statement, and then the child care report. Tonight, I'm actually presenting to you the highlight of the annual comprehensive annual financial report. So it gives you a 30,000 foot level on the financial statement and pull out some key information that you need to look at. And thank you, Clint, and summarize the audit results, but we'll go over that again with the City Council here. So what we are going through today is the overview of the financial statement. Let me share my screen real quick here. So just want to make sure you saw my screen here. So what we are going through today, the agenda is going through the financial statement, the key pension and OPEB information. As you can tell, both pension and OPEB is a significant estimate amount on the face of your financial statement. It's important for you to know the information that's relating to those pensions and OPEB. And last but not least is to provide you the audit results and give you a chance to ask me any questions that you may have regarding the audit. So overview of the financial statement. The financial statement of the annual comprehensive financial report, the ACFR, is actually break it down into a couple components. With the GASB statement number 34, you do actually have the government-wide financial statement, which actually is a consolidated level of the whole entire primary government of the city of Gardena. So under the government-wide, we break it down into both the governmental activities and the business type activities. at the end of June 30, 2021, the city ended with a total net position of a deficit of $40.3 million in total net deficit. Break it down between governmental activities and the business type activities. Total net position for the governmental activities was $66.3 million deficit, and the business type activity, you do have a $25.9 million surplus for the at the end of June 30, 2021. As you can tell, there are, like, because of GASB 68 and 75, there's a gigantic estimate recorded on the face of the financial statement. That's actually drive the deficit to the total net position here. The total net pension and OPEB liabilities for the governmental activities summed up will be $159 million. The business type activities was about like $30.6 million. So the total pension, net pension and OPEB liabilities equals to $189 million. So regarding the unrestricted net position, so if we actually factoring out the net pension and OPEB liabilities, you do actually have a positive unrestricted net position of about like $44.8 million for the governmental activities. However, the business type activity is actually still in a deficit position of about like $3.4 million. But in total, you have about like $41 million if we factor out the pension and OPEB liabilities. The general fund is the main operating fund of the city. So therefore, you do actually have at the end of June 30, 2021, you ended with about like $28.8 million of total fund balance, which break it down into 4 different categories. Non-spendable, which is about like $1.2 million. That is something that you already prepaid, and the inventory item. You do actually have couple committed items that you pay for, $18.7 million. Assigned to a certain program, $8.6 million, and then remaining the unassigned of about like $200,000. So one of the ratio that we always look at is total non-restricted fund balance to the total annual expenditure. This is what I normally call as a rainy days fund ratio. So as of this point, you do actually have like 54%. For the current fiscal year, you do have a change in fund balance. It's actually increased by about like $18.2 million. Keep that in mind for the annual comprehensive financial report purposes. The general fund is not only including fund number 10, it does actually include other rolled up funds, including the deferred maintenance, trust, technology fund, vehicle replacement, post-employment benefit, and the CARES Act fund. It's all rolled up into the general fund. So the key pension and other post-employment benefit information, as you can tell, both pension and OPEB is highly scrutinized by a lot of people. So that's why I would like to pull that up for you so that you can you have an idea where you guys are in terms of funding ratios. So as of June 30, 2021, the total net pension liability equals to about like $9 million compared to in 2020, you only have like $102 million. The changes has not been factored in on the contribution made because of the issuance of the pension obligation bonds during the year, because we do actually have a measurement date as of last year, June 30, 2020. So therefore, the contribution that the city made during the current fiscal year has not been factored into the net pension liabilities. The total funding ratio for the miscellaneous plan is about like 73.56%. The funding ratio for the safety plan was 72%. So as you can tell, the contribution made this year is significantly increased because of the additional pension obligation bonds. Proceeds went into the CalPERS Trust. So that's why the current fiscal year on the contribution made was about like $107.3 million. Compared to last year, if it is normal year that you don't have the pension obligation bond, it is about like a $10.5 million. In terms of OPEB liabilities, those are the retiree health, retiree medical health. So total OPEB liabilities was about like $85 million. planned fiduciary net position of about like $4.6 million is already set aside in the irrevocable trust. So the net OPEB liabilities was about like $80.6 million. The funding ratio was about like 5.44%. It was a little lower than last year. Last year you have a 6.02. The total contribution made for the current fiscal year was about $2.5 million, which is approximately the same as what you had in the previous year. The audit results, we are happy to issue an unmodified opinion, which is the highest assurance that the CPA firm can give it out to an audit client, which state that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respect in accordance with generally accepted accounting principle. Significant accounting policy have been consistently applied. The estimates are reasonable, and the disclosure are properly reflected in these financial statements. Also, very importantly, because the city is actually expend more than $750,000 in federal expenditure, so the audit is required to perform under the government auditing standard. And one of the key things is about internal control over financial reporting. And happy to report to you that we do not have any internal control issue that is classified as material weaknesses or significant deficiency. That means we are very comfortable with the current existing internal control that the city currently have. So that's conclude my presentation for tonight, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, does any member of the council have any questions at this time?
Mayor, I do. Councilman Henderson. You want me to go ahead?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
I was just waiting to be recognized. No problem. Thank you. Thank you for the report, Mr. Poon. Question I have, and it's kind of been a burning question I've had for years. What's the difference between an ACFR and a CAFR?
Well, this year, the acronyms CAFR is kind of a little offensive terms when you actually pronounce that term in South Africa. So that's why GASB actually took into consideration to change the name from Comprehensive Annual Financial Report to Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. So that's why we call it an ACFR instead of CAFR. But besides the name change, there's really nothing changed in terms of the components of the whole entire report.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions or comments? No? Okay, well, thank you so much for that very extensive report there.
Welcome.
That was very, very good, very informative, and thank you again for presenting all of that to us. Okay, with that, we're not taking any action on this particular item here. We're just going to be receiving and filing this item here, and we'll be moving on to our next item, which is item number, sorry, I'm off.
11B.
Thank you. 11B, thank you. Okay, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 11B is resolution number 6541, approving the application for per capita grant funds. State Department of Parks and Recreation has been delegated responsibility by the legislature of the state of California for the administration of the per capita grant fund program, setting up necessary procedures governing application process. These procedures established by the State Department of Parks and Recreation require the grantee's governing body to certify by resolution the approval of project applications before submission of said applications to the state. The application for $215,103 will fund the resurfacing of the existing basketball courts at Raleigh Park, one full-size court and 2 half courts. Benches and signage will also be updated as needed. Staff therefore recommends that City Council adopt resolution number 6541, authorizing the application for Prop 68 per capita funds. Grant funding of $215,103 is the financial impact. There is something required now, which is approved resolution number 6541.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item?
So moved.
Before we go there, Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to ask a question on this item here?
No, Madam Mayor, we don't.
Okay. That being said, I'm sorry, who made the motion? Okay, and second?
Second it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a full screen. I'm working with my iPhone tonight.
Councilwoman Francis seconded. Go ahead.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, motion was made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilwoman Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 13A, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 13A is approval of the 2021-2025 Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between the City of Gardena and the Gardena Management Employees Organization, otherwise known as GMEO. Staff respectfully request that the City Council review and consider the approval of the terms of a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Gardena and the Gardena Management Employee Organization, or GMEO, and authorize the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, for the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025. This aligns with the parameters set by the City Council in consideration of balancing continued fiscal prudence in mitigating the impacts of employee post-retirement benefits, while also continuing to align the city as a competitive employer. The GMEO is a recognized labor group of 20 miscellaneous employees, which includes all management, non-sworn employees, except those specifically designated as confidential or unrepresented. We actually have our two primary negotiators for the city with regard to GMEO, Director Crespo and Director Beeman. We have a short presentation for you this evening so you can see the process in which we undertook in order to attain this agreement that's before you tonight.
Okay.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So again, like I said, this is a presentation for the GMEO proposed agreement covering fiscal years 2021, 2022 through fiscal year 2024, 2025. Full background, the GMEO is a recognized labor group of 20 active miscellaneous employees. Back in April 2020, we commenced the labor negotiation to replace the original MOU that expired back in December 31st, 2019. The span of a year between April 2020, 2021, our staff, which comprised of our two directors here, primary negotiators, Director Beeman and Director Crespo, worked with the bargaining groups, including GMEO, and took significant actions in order to address COVID-19 fallouts, included layoffs, freezes, furloughs, and other reductions. May 2021, due to improved financial projections, the city restarted labor negotiations with GMEO, and in November 2021, reached a 4-year tentative agreement, which encompasses July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2025. And in December 1st, 2021, GMEO members voted to ratify the new contract before you this evening. This slide shows equity adjustments for the next 4 years. The proposed agreement covers July 2021 through July 2024. The first year, there will be, the proposed agreement would be a 3.5% COLA, effective the first pay period in July of 2021, followed by 3 consecutive years of exact same COLA adjustments of 4%, commencing in the first pay period of each year, with a 1% compensation towards the CalPERS employer contribution rate, otherwise known as cost sharing. Other benefits that were agreed upon, management leave. This increases the annual management leave from 40 hours to 60 hours per year. GMEO members to contribute established annual amount to a 401(k) plan currently set at $720 per year. Car allowance will increase from $260 a month to $300 a month. shoe allowance, $200 per year if the city requires employee to wear safety shoes in the performance of city duties. And a new uniform allowance will increase from $150 to $450 per year. Ray and Ernie, would you like to chime in on post-retirement health insurance?
Hey, Ray, you take this one? I get the next slide.
Okay, I'll take this one. Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager Osorio. So what we did was in our post-retirement health insurance, we added a new tier. This new tier does not affect current employees. It affects employees hired on or after the contract date. We added, you need to have 20 years of full-time service with the city. You receive 75% of the single party rate. If you have 25 years of full-time service with the city, you receive 100% of the single party rate. If you're 55 for classic members or 62 for Pepper members with full CalPERS service retirement. We also added in a new tier for retiree coverage. She'll terminate upon the date retired becomes Medicare eligible or death of the retiree, whichever occurs first. Next slide. Go ahead, Ernie.
And this one, we were able to clarify language for conversion of sick leave at the time of separation. So you have to complete a minimum of 5 years before you're eligible to cash out after sick leave. We also put a cap to our vacation buyback program. You have to have a minimum of 120 hours in the bank. And also we revised our layoff policy and recall policy for the city. I think we learned from 2 years ago how that was a very difficult process. And so we worked together to reach agreement so that it's a little bit more friendlier and cleaner for both sides.
So in summary, thank you, Ray and Ernie. GMEO currently representing, again, 20 active miscellaneous employees. The proposed agreement right now is a 4-year MOU with the GMEO starting from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2025. Agreement aligns with parameters set by City Council in consideration of balancing continued fiscal prudence while continuing to invest in the city's most valuable assets, its employees, and remain as a competitive employer. The breakdown of the fiscal impact, which in total is a $1.48 million for the term of this contract. General fund is responsible for $406,000. GTrans is $938,000. And other funds, which consist of sewer, family child care, and other grants, is $134,000. And we thank you, City Council, and all the parties involved, specifically GMEO and GME Board, and also our negotiating team, Mr. Beeman, Mr. Crespo, and our HR department for the hard work that went into this negotiation.
Okay.
That concludes our presentation. If there's any other questions, we'll be happy to answer them. But what's required tonight is to approve the MOU and authorize the city manager to execute the MOU for the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for all the hard work that you and the entire team have been doing throughout those negotiations there. At this time, does any member of the council, well, hold on a second. Let me just go back to the clerk before I forget. Madam City Clerk, does anybody from the public wish to ask any questions or comment at this time?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
no
thank
one
you.
has their hand up. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does anybody from the council have any questions or comments at this time?
Madam Mayor, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Okay, if there are no questions or comments at this time, there we go. Can I get a motion? It's hard trying to work from home here. Can I get a motion to approve the MOU and authorize the city manager to execute the MOU with the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Sorry, I'll
Is it-
second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilwoman Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
Yeah.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next moving on to item number 13B, which is the COVID-19 update. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, for tonight's COVID-19 update. As of December 14, 2021, total case count for the city of Gardena is 8,259 cases. This is an increase of 229 since our last meeting, which is November 16, 2021. And the total death count, unfortunately, has increased 5 cases since our last meeting. As far as vaccination is concerned, the children, which consist of ages 5 through 11, is about 13.1%. Ages 12 and up is 83.9%. The youth category, which is 12 to 17, is 75.6%. And our seniors, which is 65 and over, is 93.1% vaccinated. And that is the data that we have through December 9th, 2021. The testing numbers from our COVID clinic at Raleigh Park, total number of residents tested is 1,596. That is an increase of 301 tested since our last meeting, averaging 16 residents per day.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, that concludes my COVID-19 report.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? I have one, Mr. City Manager. Do we know if that's COVID-19 cases people are getting, or if it's the Delta or the Omicron, or are they being that specific at all?
It's not specific, Madam Mayor. This is just COVID-19, but mixed variants. So we don't have a breakdown between the Delta, Omicron, et cetera.
Okay, got it. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, let's move on to departmental items. Item number 16A, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 16A is to approve memorandum of understanding between the South Bay City's Council of Governments, or South Bay COG, and City of Gardena regarding use of allocated County of LA Innovation Grant funds to implement the city's homeless plan and outreach coordinator program beginning January 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. LA County makes an annual investment of Measure H Strategy E7 funding, around $500,000, to the Council of Governments, or the COG, for regional homelessness coordination. Additionally, LA County invested $9 million through 2018 City's Homelessness Plan Implementation Grant Program and $6 million through the 2020 COG Innovation Fund Program. Building on the success of these programs, the Chief Executive Officer of the Homeless Initiative recommended that the new allocation of $15 million in Measure H Strategy E7 funds be allocated to the COG to facilitate a regional approach in preventing and combating homelessness in LA County. In July 2021, the South Bay COG released a call for projects for Measure H funding, a competitive grant process to determine the allocation of $1,905,000 within the South Bay. The City of Gardena, along with 9 other cities, applied for a combined total of $3.6 million to help address homelessness within their cities. As a result, the City of Gardena was awarded $110,000 to be used for the following: consulting services, which is $30,000, which is to hire a consultant to create the city's homeless plan. The plan would include community meetings and stakeholders to identify problems and solutions relating to homelessness in Gardena. The second is to hire a homeless coordinator, which is about $80,000, and the homeless coordinator would assist clients with a multifaceted approach to addressing homelessness, prevention, and related needs and services. The coordinator will partner with all city departments, LAHSA, PATH, and service groups to build relationships with organizations that provide homeless resources and materials to individuals currently facing homelessness. The city would also continue to be eligible to receive client aid funds to provide emergency rental assistance, shelter, entrance fee for any type of mental health or substance use treatment facility, or pay for transportation to get one of the locations. These funds are centralized and issued through the COG. Development of a plan to address homelessness in the city of Gardena will help identify goals and strategies to reduce and prevent homelessness and increase housing placements. This will also help place the city in a position to receive additional Measure H funding to implement future programs addressing homelessness in the community. Financial impact: the creation of the plan has no impact to the general fund. The city would receive $110,000 from the Measure H funding to implement the homeless services programs within the city of Gardena. What's required tonight is to approve the MOU agreement between the city of Gardena and South Bay Council of Government to implement innovation grant funds. We have Director Santin, who has spearheaded the effort into this program.
Okay. Is Director Santin going to present something in addition, or is just available for questions?
I have both. I have a presentation if you'd like to see it, but I'm also here for questions if you'd like.
Okay, go ahead with the presentation.
Okay. Becky, can you pull it up, please? I'll try not to repeat myself since there's a couple things that that were already included. But thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. In July of 2021, our team applied for the Innovation Grant via Measure H funding to develop a homeless plan for the city and to hire a homeless services coordinator to further enhance our outreach to individuals who are at risk of being homeless. The City of Gardena, along with 9 other cities, applied for a combined total of $3.6 million to help address homelessness within our city. As a result, we were awarded with $110,000. Next slide. So this slide here just kind of shows our current numbers. This heat map here shows where we have reported issues via Gardena Direct. So despite all the efforts that the city has taken to actively focus on addressing homelessness, such as participating in the annual homeless counts, working with the police department and their GMET team, partnering with LASA, which is the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, St. Margaret Center, Harbor Interfaith, and PATH, the city has still seen an increase in the number of homeless transient reports via Gardena Direct and through our homeless count, as most cities have experienced in the last few years. We decided in order to address these issues, we would need to prioritize goals. Becky, next slide. So one more slide, please. So this is just a summary of what we applied for or requested. And first, we needed to hire a consultant to create a homeless plan for the city. The plan includes, but is not limited to, a comprehensive needs assessment for Gardena's homeless population, including looking at mental health needs, substance abuse needs, income needs, restorative justice needs, other needs, the demographics of Gardena's homeless population, and homeless inflows and outflows. The plans to increase permanent housing, prevention strategies to mitigate inflow, just to name a few. So in addition to that, we also would hire a coordinator to help us not only to implement our plan, but to work with other departments and to help serve our at-risk population before they reach homelessness. Throughout the years, we've been updating and changing the way that we serve people experiencing homelessness. And I think that adding the consulting services will really benefit us. And third and not least, this was part of our initial request, but the South Bay COG actually has a program that helps supplement this. So basically it would be a program or client funds that helps us to provide these emergency services. So if someone needs a motel, if they need treatment for substance abuse, transportation, or any kind of those services that are immediate, the COG would reimburse us. Next slide. So just to highlight our partnerships, continuing our partnerships with the city is very important. As you can see here, we have several providers that we currently work with. And we believe that collaborating and being strategic with our partners is a fundamental way of achieving a common goal. So ideally, what we want to do is strengthen these partnerships, and these funds will allow that. Next slide. So excuse me. The development of this plan to address homelessness in the city will help identify goals and strategies to reduce and prevent homelessness and increase housing placements. This will also place the city in a position to receive additional Measure H funding to implement future programs. Some of the goals include training our staff, tracking and reporting our progress, establishing working groups with neighboring cities to reduce services. And so basically this is where we get a start with Measure H funding. Once we establish a plan, then we'll be able to kind of revisit and change our path or pattern as we need to. I believe that's the end. Can you go to is that it, Becky?
Yes, that's the end.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions? Yep.
Okay. Let me open it up to the public first. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to ask a question at this time?
No, Madam Mayor, we don't.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time?
Councilman Kiskin?
He said he called you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was making sure. Thank you for the presentation, Director Santini. It was well explained as far as numbers and everything. My question is, how much we anticipate yearly as of City of Gardena into Measure H, homeless encampment, or how much we spend money?
I don't have that number. I think in the past we've mentioned that it was maybe upwards of 2 million. Is that right?
200,000.
I'm sorry?
It was 200,000 per year.
200,000?
Yes.
That the city pays into it?
Correct.
200,000 a year or 2 million a year?
The city pays in taxes an equivalent to 2.5 million. But we were supposed to receive $200,000 of that because it goes through the county pool.
I see. So they giving us back 5% of what we anticipate. I mean, we pay, right?
Approximately, that's what the calculation would be when it goes into the county pool.
So my question is, since we supposed to get $200,000 back, and now we're getting only $110,000 back, what will happen for the remaining balance? Is it like IOU or forget about it?
No, the estimate of 200,000 really is for, it's a misnomer, really, because you need to spend the funds in order to get it back. The county would want to see programs in place. You spent in order for you to receive any Measure H money. For instance, let's say Long Beach or LA puts in shelters and whatnot. That's the bulk where they get the money from, right? So Measure H, millions of dollars that other cities are paying into, but we're not getting them. But the bulk goes back to cities that have shelters and whatnot. So it's more of a reimbursement type of program. So this is the first step.
Well, is this $2 million that we participate, is it the numbers of homelessness what we have, or for example, Long Beach 2 as well, they pay 2 million?
No, they don't.
More?
They don't pay into Measure H because they're already capped as far as the tax. We pay in a sense of the 25 points, 20.25% of the sales tax that you pay on any of the stuff that you buy goes into Measure H and not into the city. So we have 10.25% total tax in the city. The 0.25 is that for Measure H.
So even though we are capped too as well, right?
That is included in the cap. That's why when Measure G was being heard and presented, we couldn't ask for the full 1% because the 0.25 was already taken by Measure H. Otherwise, it would have been like a full percent in Measure G.
I see. So we were late.
Yes. And what you're talking about tonight, what Stephanie's program is talking about through the COG is totally different than the county's, because this money is, it's Measure H through the COG. So the COG had so much Measure H money that it was divided upon the 8 South-based cities. So if you wanted part of that money, then you had to apply. So Stephanie stepped up and actually created this program to get the money that we're getting. So we have to thank Stephanie for doing this program.
Thank you, Stephanie.
But the Measure H money that that we're getting whacked for, it's all about numbers of homeless. So when you look at the numbers, we have 14 homeless people. Measure H is not giving us anything. So they're taking our 2.5, but they're not giving us anything back, basically.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question then at this point, because now I'm a little bit more confused. So the money now that we're talking about with the COG here, completely different than the money initially back a few years ago, that when everybody voted on Measure H, they were specifically taken from Gardena. That's completely separate from what this is with the COG. This is money the COG got through Measure 8, correct? Am I following so far?
For the 8 cities. The COG got this money for the 8 cities.
For the 8 cities.
They could use it for their homeless issues.
Okay. Okay, got it. Understood.
So again, it's not everybody actually applied for the money.
Okay.
So only certain cities that figured they had a problem applied for.
So you're saying out of those 8 cities, there were only a couple of us who applied?
I think there was maybe
There was not
5 or 6.
not 9.
Oh, not okay.
9 cities applied for a pot within the COG. So basically, the county has split up the money within the COGs, and some of the funding goes to the cities. And so we were selected as one of the cities to receive some funding.
Okay. Got it.
One more quick question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
One more quick question. I just want to clarify one more thing. So this money that we received, I just want to make sure, the $110,000, it has nothing to do with the $200,000 or plus that we were supposed to receive, right?
Right, because you don't have the program yet.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the point I wanted to make, that by creating this program, we will be eligible to receive the $200,000 that we keep talking about we're not getting because we didn't have a program for them to give it to us. So, and now let me sure I understand what the memorandum is going to do. Basically, we have an agreement with the South Bay City government to create a program. And if we create this program, then they're going to help fund it. They're going to fund it. Is that correct?
2 years.
Correct.
For how many years?
18 months.
For 18 months. And one of the things that we're going to put together is outreach coordinator program. We'll hire outreach coordinator.
So first we're going to create a plan. And then based off that plan, then we'll hire a coordinator to assist with implementing
this. Will this plan include, so we're part of SPA 8. And I think there's a coordinator for SPA 8, and there are also 3 outreach workers for, I think Redondo Beach, that's Gardena, Redondo Beach, Haddon Beach, several cities. So is it going to incorporate what's already existing? Are we going to coordinate with them or intersect with that program as well?
We're definitely going to work with the other organizations. So we can't really do it alone. Right now we have someone that hybrids a position. Jackie Arcos helps with our homeless outreach as well. But this would be more of a one-on-one service. So the way it works now is when we have someone that reaches out to us that's a homeless family or a homeless individual, it's just more than us working with them. We contact LASA. We also work with PATH. We work with other organizations to coordinate the effort of providing them either shelter for the evening, for the night, long-term housing, medical services, and what other services they need. So it's really a partnership amongst all of them. It's not just us working with them. It's basically a partnership, not only with our departments, but other cities and services.
Well, it's got to go that way. The problem's too big just for one city to tackle it alone. So it has to be that way. Is there any, I understand that there's funds available for Project Room Key. Are we going to participate in that program? Or do we have to do this first before we can begin to apply for that funding? Or are we going?
This funding is separate from that. We did not apply for Project Room Key funding. What we wanted to do first was establish a homeless plan. This is the first time the city's done something like this, so we wanted to first reach out to a consultant to kind of take a look at what we're doing, what services we actually need. This would also include community input.
Let me ask you one more question, well, two more questions actually.
Sure.
Now I know that when I first got on city council, we passed an ordinance for a low barrier navigation center. Would that be a part of this? This is when I very first got on city council because I was glad to.
No, Councilwoman Francis, that the ordinance that you passed was a requirement by the state that you must, if those centers come to Gardena and apply to build in Gardena, that you must approve. So again, this is not something that we can control. All that measure that bill did was force the council to have to approve that kind of building if it were to come to Gardena.
Okay. And the other thing, I'm going to participate in a homeless count January 26th, and they're looking for 50 volunteers here to count city of Gardena because I count almost 10. You say there are only 14, but just kind of riding around the streets, I count at least 10. And I understand that they're placing Alondra Park as a winter shelter. And so I'm really happy to see that we're moving in this direction because as other cities begin to put pressure on encampments in other cities, they're coming, whether we like it or not. And then a lot of our families are, well, that's the other question. Will this have anything to do with families? And my big concern is children. I think at one point, LUSD said, was it about 200 families that were?
So the program itself will help anyone that's either facing homelessness or preventing homelessness from occurring. The number that I just want to clarify that the number that was provided is the average number of submissions via Gardena Direct of homeless or transients viewed in the city. We know that number increases or varies depending on where you go, but it's the way that it's submitted through our system. So we have seen an increase through the system, which is Gardena Direct, and in general with the homeless counts that are done annually, we also have seen an increase. So it's not only 14. It's just that's what's reported on an average month.
Yeah, and LA are we encouraging people to report? Are you counting those as well, or is there any coordination between Gardena Direct and LA Hop?
Yeah, so Jackie goes to the meetings, and they always discuss coordination, and there's always a partnership involved. So what we have noticed is that sometimes there's redundancies, right? Even if you go on social media, you see one person report, a family that's living on the street, and then they'll go to another city or they travel around. So what we're trying to do is basically make sure that we're providing the same services or the level of service to everyone that's facing a need, and also not repeating services. Because what we have noticed in certain cases is that they'll go to one city, we provide and offer services, and then they go to a different city, and then it starts all over again. So basically by taking this as a regional approach, now we're hoping to reduce the redundancy and help people get off the streets, find permanent housing. And that's really the goal.
So you reduce redundancy by creating more permanency, more permanent solutions. That is because,
right. And just really communicating and really communicating, because I think that there's still some gaps, and that's why we noticed those. And that's why we actually applied for $180,000 for the client services portion of it, but the South Bay COG has taken it on as they're centralizing that service for the area.
Okay, just one more quick program over the next 18 months as the program begins to grow, because I suspect if it's done well, it's going to grow. Is there any allowance for to go back and say we need more money, or is that this is a limited pot and that's it, or do we have to reapply, or how's that going to work?
I believe we'll have to reapply or apply for more funding. From what I understand, this is the 18-month, and this is what we were issued or given. And then we'll apply again, and now we'll have a better plan since we actually have a plan and we can show our progress or how our program is working.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I got a couple questions, Director Cynthia. Thank you for providing this for us. It definitely shows our dedication and how important this issue is by making sure that we have a dedicated resource to it versus making it somebody else's other duties as assigned. So that part I'm happy about. In regards to the homeless coordinator, will that be a full-time position or is this going to be a contract for 18 months? This person is going to work and respond to our issues and they won't be a full-time city employee. First question. Second question, how are we going to solicit for folks to apply to become our homeless coordinator?
So we took a look at that. So at first it would be hired as a transitional grant funded position to see how the position would obviously work and how it would tie into our program. And then if it works, we can always apply for additional funding or see if we can incorporate that into our next budget. So those are basically right now it would just be a trial to see how it would run. And then if it's successful, then we would see how we could fund that position.
Okay,
and I'm sorry, your second
question was how were you going? So the position will be on soft money and they'll get no benefits. So they'll just be doing kind of straight time and material type work then, correct?
There is that option. And then depending if there's additional funds or the funds that we receive, then you could do hired as a transitional position, which would provide benefits as well.
Okay, so that's one. Then the next one, how are we going to solicit folks to apply for this position?
So the city currently uses NeoGov or government jobs. And I have seen several postings. That's kind of how we did the research to find the job and how we should be paying this position on NeoGov. So there are opportunities now for that role. We could also reach out to the schools.
Okay, that's all. That was my only question. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I have a question because now I'm a little confused here. Mr. City Manager, and I'm going to go back to that Measure H money, the $2.5 million we pay out and almost $200,000 that we haven't gotten back for a few years now. We were told because we don't already have a program in place yet, that's the reason why we're not getting that money back. That's the first question I have. And then I have another question.
That's correct.
Okay.
You have to have a program in place and for you to get that $200,000.
Did they tell us that before or are we just now hearing that?
It was subsequent to that. So
okay.
The initial one was that the 0.25%, and then based on the calculation on formula by LA County Pool, that's what we would be getting if we had a full program in place.
So once this program kicks off here with the COG, then after 18 months, if we keep going with it, then we'll start getting our money back from Measure H. Is that my understanding?
That is unless Director Santin has some definitive concrete data, that is still up for. We don't know yet if that's the case.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't know if I'm not sure if that would be the way it would if it would automatically be given to us or if there's another application or process to be awarded the money.
It would be subject to approval by the county. By the county.
And then would they let us go back retroactive the years that they haven't given us our money back?
No, it's moving.
So we just lost the money to some other city?
Correct.
Okay, I understand now.
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Question to Director Santin and another one to City Manager Osorio. The first one, Stephanie. So we get $110,000 for 18 months, and we have to stretch that $6,000 a month. What can we do with this $6,000 a month? Who can we help? How can we pay the employer? How we can do this?
So 30,000 of that goes to hire a consultant to create the plan. After the plan is completed, then we would look to hire a coordinator. And so depending on the needs or the report, we might not need a full-time coordinator, but maybe a part-time coordinator. So we can make the money stretch if we need to, but it's all based on the needs. So first we would have to take a look at the plan. Once the plan is finalized, then we can adjust to see how we can better use or fit this position. The client aid funds that are included also help offset the cost of us putting people in hotels and providing other services. it's just not given to the city, it's administered through the COG. So we had originally asked for a certain amount of money, and they said that they would handle it or they would distribute it. So we still have more money eligible to actually provide services.
So if okay, now it makes more sense then that there is a possibility of more money, because out of that $6,000 a month, I mean, we're going to pay the employee, we're going to pay a consultant, and plus we're going to help the homeless people, to place them in a hotel or motel or whatever. So now that makes sense a little bit. Hopefully we get enough money. Nothing comes out of our pocket. And my next question is to city manager. So we pay $2.5 million in order for us to get back $200,000 to help our homeless. So where is the logic in this, that we're paying 2.5 to get back 200,000 and to pay to our homeless? Can somebody explain this to me?
The logic is in the calculation based on going to the county pool. So that's not, I don't believe that the number of homeless are even included in that calculation. It's based on our population compared to LA County, and then there's a few more calculations made by LA County. Just like if you receive internet sales, for instance, and it's not going directly to the city of Gardena, it goes to the county pool, and when it goes there, it factors in all of the different cities and your population, et cetera, and then you end up with 0.005%, something like that, as far as your share of the entire county pool pot.
So basically, we're paying other cities' homeless issues than our own.
Right. Just like the city of Long Beach, for instance, right? I mean, their tax was capped at the time of the passing of Measure H. They don't pay a single dime. They don't pay the 2.5. They don't pay anything. But then they get the homeless initiative payments because of the number of homelessness that they have and the programs that they have. So Long Beach, for instance, doesn't pay anything. The residents don't pay into Measure H, but we do, because at that time our tax wasn't capped yet. Theirs was, but ours wasn't.
So this is a lesson for us, so we can act, faster in any other stuff that we have to take,
I want to remind everybody that when we had the former city manager, Ed Madrano, we talked about this, and the concerns we had as a community was about the extra tax at that time. And so we weren't there yet in regards to capping all the way out. So we had to kind of do something with Measure H, knowing that other cities would benefit without them putting anything in. So then that's where we came with the kind of the wherewithal to say, let's just cap ourselves out with Measure G. But had we kind of capped ourselves before, we wouldn't have this issue. So like Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, all these other cities where they have more homelessness, they don't pay into this because they taxed themselves earlier. So to your point, Councilman, we definitely need to act faster next time in regards to that, not be so squeamish about taxes. But nobody likes taxes, but to the mayor's disdain and everybody's disdain, it doesn't make sense to pay $2 million and maybe get $200,000 back, and then other people pay nothing and they can still use more of the pool and anything. So we're just being good county neighbors, I guess.
To your point, Councilmember Henderson, I mean, back when Measure G was being proposed, obviously there's going to be some folks out there that are, like you said, squeamish and didn't like the idea of being taxed. Had we not done that, then this would have been, you wouldn't have the Chase Bank, you wouldn't have the Aquatic Center. Mm-hmm. Fruits of that Measure G now is a reality. You can build Chase Bank now because of the extra money that we have.
I was all for Measure G. I'm talking about Measure G should have swallowed up the rest of that space we had.
At 2%.
That Measure H and all that money would be in Measure G, and we'd be in a different spot and still be able to work on our homelessness issue. But again, this is where we are now.
Mm-hmm. Just one quick question. So it's $30,000 for the consultant and $80,000 for the outreach coordinator. And that's $110,000 right there. And that pretty much exhausts, that takes all the money. That's it, right?
Correct. But then there's also the client aid funds that we can apply for reimbursement.
Okay. And you mentioned putting people in hotels. How do we pay for that?
Vouchers.
Through the client aid funds. So the South Bay COG has that in place already. They've had that for over a year. And so we apply for reimbursement. Mm-hmm. So we've already done this several times and have received reimbursement. And this is how it would work when we continue to further this plan. It's not a hotel for long-term. It's enough time so then the client services from LASA or from PATH can come out and assess the situation and then hopefully provide additional resources.
Okay. But we're not going to pursue Project Room Key because we don't have a program.
We don't have a program in place now. I don't know if that's something that the council wants to pursue or if that's something that we want to look into when we speak to the consultant.
Well, Project Room Key is the county dealing directly with the actual property owner, hotel owners, and everything, and it sidesteps the council's voice or any municipality's voice in that process. So if there's a business owner that wants to participate, there's nothing we can really do to prohibit that and everything. So that's where there's some consternation about how Project Room Key is supposed to work. Now, if we support it, great, but that's a problem.
We don't make applications to participate in that? Or is it
it's up to the property owner directly. It's not with us.
I have to do a little more reading. Thank you.
Yeah, it takes a local control away from us. They can just come in and make a deal with the hotel people. But then it doesn't do any good for the hotel people because it takes away their profits.
Okay, any more questions or comments on this item here? If not, can I get a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding agreement between the City of Gardena and the South Bay City's Council of Governments to implement the innovation grant funds? I'm sorry. Who?
So moved.
Small. I can only see three of you guys.
So moved.
Francis.
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Mark.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, motion was made by Councilman Francis and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Francis?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 17A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 17A is to approve contract with Comline Inc. for purchase and installation of a radio system for $433,488. City of Gardena's G-Trans utilizes the digital radio system for daily two-way communication amongst G-Trans Communications and Dispatch Center, route supervisors, and bus operators out on the road. This radio service also provides critical communication with Gardena PD in the event of emergencies, service issues, and regular communication, ensuring the safety and security of G-Trans employees and customers riding the bus. G-Trans currently contracts with Mobile Relay Associates Incorporated for its digital radio system needs, which includes the lease of radio equipment such as radio headsets, handsets, vehicle location services, radio and telephone recording equipment, and base modules. For some time, G-Trans has been working to move to the more reliable digital radio communications network currently owned by several agencies in the South Bay region, including Gardena PD, called the Interoperability Network of the South Bay Joint Powers Authority, or INSP. Prior to system acceptance, INSB performed lengthy tests to guarantee 97% coverage in the South Bay area. G-Trans will be the first transportation agency to join the INSB network, having been pre-approved by the INSB board. G-Trans was approved with the use of separate talk groups, ensuring that transmissions generated by G-Trans will not have or no impact on interference with fire and police services, and this new network will provide more effective and efficient response in case of emergencies, special events, etc. With our current radio system, there is a signal loss around our facility and throughout the city, causing challenges to the clarity of transmissions over the radio and subsequent recordings. INSB system has been tested around our facility and transit service areas, showing no signal loss issues and improved clarity in communications and recordings. The Kenwood radios purchased as part of the new system will be integrated with our grid project vendor's onboard communication system. G-Trans has used the analog Kenwood radio equipment for over 10 years. We're confident in the quality and durability of Kenwood. Training and transition time should be minimal because our operators and maintenance staff are familiar with the radio layout. G-Trans wishes to purchase its new radio system, Comline, located in the city of Gardena. Comline will provide the equipment, installation, configuration, and annual maintenance services, which they have provided to many other cities around the greater LA area with positive feedback. Comline is most familiar with the INSB network as they have provided the infrastructure and support to SBR's PCA, also referred to Regional Communication Center or RCC. Comline is an authorized distributor of Kenwood equipment and is able to provide pricing through the National Association of State Procurement Officials or NASPO, a nonprofit association that provides a cooperative purchasing program. The purchase of radio system from Comline totals $433,438, which includes the equipment, sales tax, and the first year of annual maintenance. While transitioning from a leased system to a G-Trans owned system does have a significant upfront cost, we're able to use local capital grants to fund the purchase, resulting in a significant savings to our annual operating costs. G-Trans currently pays $136,000 annual to Mobile Relay for both service and leasing of radio equipment. In subsequent years, we anticipate an overall 83% savings, about $112,400 in annual operating costs attributed to our radio system, with only annual maintenance fee and INSB fee remaining in the budget. Over the equipment lifecycle of 10 years, we expect to realize a savings of approximately $618,000. For financial impact, G-Trans has existing local capital funds available for this project. There is no impact to the general fund. What is required tonight is to approve this contract.
Okay, are there any questions or comments at this time?
Here's Councilman Harris. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. City Manager, thank you. Just let's kind of think about this moving forward. Now, this is a small contractor, so this is great. But moving forward, do you think in the industry, various industries, as we take advantage of piggyback contracts and JPAs and everything, are we not allowing the competitive process to thrive in some of these instances? Now, in this case, a small vendor got it, but they were already kind of associated with the JPA. Let's just say there was another Kenwood dealer that's not working with the South Bay Regional thing. How would they have competed for this contract?
This is almost as if, and thank you for your question, Councilman Henderson. This is almost like a sole source agreement, simply because Comline works directly and is our, like I said, it's our vendor and provider for the INSB radio system, which, you know, it is throughout the South Bay. And it's through the INSB network is what we're going to be piggybacking off of. We're not joining any other network. There's not going to be any cellular or anything like that. It's just the digital network of INSB that we're piggybacking off of. And Comline is the sole provider of that because of the encryption that's in the radios. So if had this been a different type of project, you know, from the ground up, of course, we would have gone out, you know, for RFP, et cetera, et cetera. But since Comline already has the infrastructure and we're just using that airspace infrastructure per se, it is in essence a sole source because of the encryption.
Right. No, I get that. So as we move forward, we just want to be mindful that because as more JPAs get created, more piggyback contracts get created, and a lot of small, medium, women-owned, veteran-owned, disabled-owned business enterprises aren't a part of those, they get locked out of the competitive process. I just want to make sure Gardena is making sure that anytime we do something other than this, because it's encrypted, I get this, that we make sure that we're making sure everybody has an opportunity to compete for our business.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We will make sure of that. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I had a question. I was just gonna, but thank you, Councilmember Henderson, for asking that question for me, because I certainly wanted to know. The other thing is, so this is, we're basically moving from a lease agreement to a purchase agreement.
Correct.
That's what we're doing.
Correct.
And is there, as a part of this this contract, is there a certain service maintenance part in there? Of course, over the, how long is the contract for? Is just
well, this is just for the purchase of.
It's just for the purchase.
For the purchase of the radio, yeah.
Okay, but there's no service agreement.
So that's a separate agreement between the City of Gardena and INSP.
Okay, that's a different group.
Correct.
The service provided by
which we are already a part of, which our police department is currently using that already.
So we don't have to create a new service agreement just because we're not purchasing.
Correct. This is, yeah, we just have to purchase the equipment.
Okay, and what
about this one?
Okay, and replacement of radios, because sometimes they get lost, or is that a part of this contract too? That will they replace me radios over a period of time, or am I on the right track?
I mean, the maintenance and warranty only applies to the radios that we have. If you lose the radio, then the replacement is upon us to replace the radio. But if it gets damaged in any way, or there's a problem with the radio, then it's included on the maintenance program.
And so they'll replace it.
Correct. Just like any other equipment that's defective or anything like that, then they would. If it's under warranty and it's under the maintenance contract, then yes, then they would replace it.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to ask a question at this time?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. That being said, can I get a motion to approve the contract as is?
Move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilwoman Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Henderson.
I think yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Francis.
Yes. Yes.
Pro Tem Tanaka.
Abstain.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to move on to council directors. Does any member of the council have any directors at this time? No? Okay. Well, let's move on to city manager's remarks regarding our previous directors and council items.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, I do have one update regarding a previous directive. This was the directive from Councilmember Francis regarding succession planning for the City of Gardena as it relates to executive teams, specifically the city manager and directors. So I broke it down essentially into two different sections here. First, the department heads. Should the department heads go on a short-term leave, i.e. vacation or FMLA, et cetera, the department head has the discretion of designating an alternate for his or her position. If not, then the city manager can appoint that internally. If it's more of a long-term, or if it's a matter of separation from the position, then the city manager may select the interim director from an internal candidate pool, or we may go out to an external candidate to select an interim director, and then subsequently run a recruitment for the full-time director from an outside pool. As far as the city manager is concerned, either short-term or long-term, obviously the city council has the discretion of either hiring a replacement from within, either an interim or permanent basis. Most likely, usually if in the absence of a qualified candidate internally, city council may elect to go on a national search recruitment for city manager position. As you know, we don't have an assistant city manager position currently in the city. Even at that, assistant city manager would just take over on a very short-term interim basis should the city manager is not available, either temporarily or permanently. The city council still ultimately has the discretion of making a selection for an interim city manager or a permanent city manager from an outside selection through a national search. Any questions on that at all? Okay.
I'll get a copy of that. Copy of the memo.
I will type it up in a memo. I wanted to give you a verbal explanation exactly what we have in place.
Okay. And Madam Mayor, was that what you second? Because this came about the police chief and all that, and was that was because you wouldn't is that what you agreed to? I just want to make sure that you got your.
I can't remember everything, but I'm pretty for sure that's exactly about what it was because it was several weeks ago.
Let me refresh your city council as far as what that directive was. Directive was for succession planning for the city. What happens to our directors, department head directors, and the city manager? Should there be either temporary or short-term leave or more permanent, like a separation for both the directors and the city manager? Now, what I've explained to you is what we currently have right now. I am unclear as far as what the actual directive would be other than the current succession planning. So if there's any further follow-up on this, we'd be happy to provide, but this is currently what we have. This is what we have. We don't have any other succession plan. As far as the city manager is concerned, there is no assistant city manager. Even so, the assistant city manager doesn't necessarily ultimately and automatically step into the job. The city council still has to appoint either assistant city manager or somebody else as interim city manager. Because ultimately, I mean, city council's, that's your prerogative as far as who do you appoint. Should I or any city managers be unavailable on more of a permanent basis?
So that was my directive then. Thank you for refreshing my memory.
Actually, you second the one that I made, but anyway, thank you.
I think I made it kind of I may have modified it some in the sense because I want to know as it related to all directors as well as the city manager as far as what a succession plan would be.
Okay, so you second, you agree to just want to make sure that you, because it's online. I just want to make sure because you said you were going to you were second, so I can understand the process, and because I had another concern. But anyway, so is this what you were asking for?
I was asking what the succession plan was, not only for the city manager, but for any director, period, overall.
All right, I'm just checking. All right, thank you so much, City Manager Osorio. We'll see.
So in the 30 years plus that I've been a member of this city, when the city manager has gone on business or done anything, they've always appointed a director to take his place. And if a director is gone, they usually appoint somebody to take their place because it's not a permanent job. It's to be the person that someone goes to for information. They don't make rules. They don't change things. It's not like that person's going to be the person making all these decisions. It's still up to the city manager. And it is up to the city council to, if they think someone needs to come in on a temporary basis, then we can appoint somebody. So I don't understand what the problem is.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka, let me tell you how this whole, because it's been a couple of months now, but how the whole conversation began was when City Manager Osorio went to a conference and he said he appointed
Probably the chief.
The police chief in place. And then I thought, for 2 days, and I thought, whoa, because it took me back to Police Chief Ed Madrano when City Manager Lansdale retired, and they appointed Police Chief Ed Madrano as the city manager, and we went this whole process where I'm offering contract, not offering contract, and all that. But for that part, and it was doing a not a great time to our city. We had 3 super departments and all this. I don't know. You've been around 30 years, so you probably remember that. But that's my question. How I got started, and so I asked what the plan was, and Madam Mayor said she was seconded, but she wouldn't second what I pretty much asked for. But she was second just a report on the process, what the session process was. And I agreed to it because I at least need to have a good jumping off point to where we go from here. So thank you so much. That's what it was about. Just to, give it back history. And it is now that when you're on the other side, city council is like, okay, this is how we do it. Let's make this plan. Let's get it done. And it worked. But when you're on the other side, as I was a stakeholder, as I still am, as an individual resident of the city of Gardena, to me at that point, it looked like the police department was running the whole city. And I had a problem with that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It works for some people, but it was just a problem for me and for quite a few folks in the city. But there was nothing we could do about it at that time. So I just want to make sure that because, as I said, we're a small city, and I'm concerned that we don't have a bench, and it sounds pretty simple, but I think because if we have one key person absent, it could be devastating to our city because we're small. And I just want to make sure we have something firmly in place so it's not doesn't become this big discussion, and certainly not. And I'm just going, plain talk, straight talk mixed with good understanding. It's certainly not the police chief. That's all.
So,
but that's okay. We, Madam Mayor, I just need to have that in writing so I can understand the process. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for clarifying the process for me. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now I have something to consider. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad since you opened that discussion up. We're all still stakeholders here. We're all still residents, and regardless of whether we're mayor, city council, whomever, we all still have an interest in it from a residential side there. So at the end of the day, if you follow city council meetings or even the process will be done anytime the city manager leaves, it's not just the chief of police, but he rotates it. Sometimes the director of recreations is in charge. Sometimes it's public works in charge. It's something that they do for all the directors here. So you're just talking about one instance, but if you follow what goes on, that's what all the time. Now that you're a city council member, then it's good that you understand that here. So it's not just the chief of police. And in the situation with Chief Madrano switching over and becoming city manager, that was something that he had aspired to do. So just for clarification, he wanted to switch over and become a city manager. It wasn't just the chief was getting ready to come and take over. So, and I thought that was explained many times to people in the past, but I think you have a different view when it comes to the police department, but that's you. So just so you know.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate that. And
Mrs. City Manager, do you have something else you want to say?
Please, just let me finish out, and then I'll go on because I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But I just want you to know, not to upset anybody's apple cart or all that. But I have been watching, have followed council meetings, and I know what I know. But thank you so much for that process. Now I have a better understanding of it, and going forward, we'll see. Thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. City Manager, was there something else you wanted to mention?
Oh, I just wanted to reiterate that I do rotate the appointment of acting city manager. In fact, the first time was Chief Sapel, and then the latest one that I appointed here when I went to the G-Trans APTA award was the Director of Public Works, Alan Rigg, and then when I do go on a different one later on, then I'll rotate it again. I forget who's up next, but it just typically just rotates. And it's the same exact, I want to say the same exact process, not process, but if we had an assistant city manager, the authority given to the acting city manager, be it an assistant city manager or a director, would be the same. They would still confer with me through text or phone before any decision is made. pertaining to the city. Obviously, it's very important, and that has to wait. And I have to give the authorization to that person, whoever that might be. I understand that we haven't had an assistant city manager for quite some time, but the authority and the powers given to the acting CM would be the same, whether it's director or assistant city manager. As far as I remember, the last assistant city manager we had was doing a dual role of director of admin services and assistant city manager. So it would be the same.
Wasn't that you, City Manager Osorio? Wasn't that
you? No.
Chris Hatch.
I was Ms. Hack was the one that had the dual role. I transitioned from director to a full-time assistant city manager.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. There are no more, anything else, Mr. City Manager, in regards to this here?
Yes, ma'am. Not on this topic. I have a video presented by the Recreation Human Services. The Rec Human Services Department has been very busy, as you know, past few weeks. We have a quick highlight of all events that took place. Want to thank community partners that helped us make these events a reality. So we're so fortunate again to have Gardena provide us with all these events throughout the year. You have that video? All right, Madam Mayor, members of City Council, last but not least, I do want to share a presentation regarding one of the most anticipated things that we've been waiting for here in the city. Before I do that, I'd like to invite one of our key staff members that's really in the forefront of the our application for Prop 68, Mary Seminole.
Hello.
Hello, Mary.
Good evening.
Mary is one of our key staff members in our admin services department. She's also the person responsible, not just the person responsible for this, but one of the key people that really made this thing happen. And this is our Prop 68 award. So Mary, if you wouldn't mind, do a short presentation, you help me out with it.
Okay.
Okay, like I said, this is for the Gardena Community Aquatic and Senior Center Prop 68 Grant Award. We applied for this grant award way back in March 2019. Mary, if you could take us through the process. Mary, you there? I think we may have lost her. I'm going to go continue the presentation. Mary, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I was just telling the City Council our process here. If you wouldn't mind taking us through it.
Yes, we began in March of 2019, and we actually applied for 3 separate projects at that time. Those applications were submitted in August of 2019, and in February of 2020, we found out that we had not been successful with those applications. We had another opportunity in January of 2021 to acquire additional property for expansion of one of our projects, which is, of course, the Aquatic Center. And in February of 2021, we initiated community engagement to get input from our residents about that project. We submitted the one application for the community center in March of 2021 in the amount of $8.5 million. In June of 2021, we received the exciting news that we had been selected as a finalist and selected for a site visit. That site visit occurred in July of 2021. In August, we were notified that we were still under consideration and that we should hear a decision by October. With bated breath, we waited until December 7th, at which point we received a call from our state's park representative notifying us that the city of Gardena had been selected and would be funded for the $8.5 million that we had applied for. In January, we will have a kickoff meeting and grant workshop, and we will receive our final grant documents. So in round 4, there were $2.42 billion in requests, 468 projects. Of those requests, $548.3 million were granted in grants, 112 grant projects in all. Only 24% of the projects that were applied for were selected for funding. And Of those 112 grant projects approved, only 14 out of the 112 were approved for the entire 8.5 million. In Los Angeles County, you'll see the following agencies that were approved for projects.
And the $8.5 million is the maximum that any one agency can receive per award. And I don't believe any other cities in the South Bay got Prop 68 funding.
No, not in the South Bay. The closest city that received $8.5 million would be the city of Norwalk.
The furthest city is Lancaster.
Yeah.
Yes, we got Lancaster here again.
And Palmdale.
Oh, and Palmdale too.
But they didn't get 8.5.
They did not. So here is our current site plan for the Gardena Community Aquatic and Senior Center. So we want to thank the proactive leadership of the mayor and the city council, the tireless work of city leadership and staff, and most importantly, we want to thank our community for their engagement and their valuable input. It is with them that we can build this valuable asset in our community and build a bright future. When I spoke to the state rep, she said that she was extremely impressed by the citizens of Gardena participating in the Zoom meetings and by the proactivity of the city council and the city staff. And that is a key factor that brought this grant to the city. I've included on here the website, the park's website. The project process will be recorded on the website, and you can see our city there at www.parksforcalifornia.org/projects. Thank you, City Manager, for allowing me to assist you in presenting.
Yes, Mary, thank you for assisting me in presenting our award here. I do want to take this moment to also thank the entire team, obviously the entire city staff for being there for us as far as assisting us. But I do want to, if we can, I do want to invite Director Santin and Director Rigg, because these three individuals here, and along with the Director Beeman, these people are really the ones that made this thing happen. When the state rep visited our facility here, the aquatic center, the Prim Pool, this is exactly what they saw: this empty pool that has been red tagged. There was even a lawn chair in the middle of the pool. They saw folks out in the parking lot exercising. They were wondering, what was going on. And we said, hey, this is the vision that the city council has. And we showed them the site map and the elevation and all that. And they saw it was very impressive. And they saw that we had acquired additional properties, adjacent to the Prim Pool to make this, this big aquatic center and senior center. They were quite impressed. That's probably most likely why we got the full $8.5 million in grant funds. I want to thank Alan. I want to thank Stephanie, Mary, and Ray for doing your best. These guys were out there showing the rep around, being on calls and being available all the time to make sure that this project, we had a fair shot at this project, and we would not be here today, with this $8.5 million grant without these folks out here that really made us made this thing happen. So thank you, Alan, Stephanie, Ray, Mary, and your staff, Kevin, everybody that really put in. Kevin Kwok, I don't know if it's quite Kevin's here. You also put in there. So thank you so much for truly a team effort. There's not one person that really made this happen, but truly a team effort. So thank you. You guys want to say something? It's a big deal. It's the biggest grant we've ever had gotten.
Well, I just like to say something. I'm muted. I just like to thank all of you guys involved in this. I mean, like City Manager said, this is a really big deal, and all the hard work and effort that went into getting this grant here for our community. I mean, this is amazing. I think we've been so excited ever since then. I've been telling everybody, like, you're not going to believe this, and you know what we got, and now what we're going to be able to accomplish because of this. So hats off to you guys. You guys did an amazing job making this happen. All the people who had a part in this here. So thank you very much.
I just want to add to what Madam Mayor said, but don't let this be the ending. Let's let this be a beginning. We did it once, whatever formula that worked. I have a friend that writes grants, and he's managed to find a formula, and that formula, it works. And he uses it over and over to get more and more money because we have other projects that we like to go forward on. So not an ending, but a beginning. And I celebrate all of you for your hard work, your great effort in making this this project a reality. Good job.
Councilmember Francis, we are waiting for the grant that the Congressman Waters is still, spearheaded for us. We're still waiting for that. We've called them and they said that they're still figuring it out. But that's another $1.5 million that could be used to other projects that we have. So we're still, waiting for that. And I'm sure on behalf of the team, we're still going to be waiting around and see if we can get more grants. Because it's nothing like free money.
Yeah, like I said, a new beginning, not an ending. Way to go, team.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Got one quick announcement here for upcoming events. We still have one more Jolly Trolley Park Tour that's coming up this coming Thursday. December 16th. There's a flyer out there that gives clues. I don't think I'm supposed to say where the trolley is going to be at, but if you go on the City of Gardena's social media page, or I'm not for sure, it may even be on our website as well. It will give you the clues as far as where the trolley will end up at. And we encourage everybody to come on out, rain or shine. My understanding the trolley was out tonight, even though it was a little cold and windy, but come on out so you can come and celebrate with our staff here, with our police department, with our parks and recreation, and all the fun and festivity type of games that they have for them. And that's all that I have as far as announcements. And we're going to move on. Yes.
If I may, one last one.
Sure.
I do want to say something real quick. I know my kids are very big fan of watching council meeting. I'm sure they're watching this. I just want to tell them that happy birthday on Saturday. They're turning 10. And if you're still watching, go to sleep.
That's a direct order. Go to sleep. Okay, very good. So let's move on to council remarks. First up tonight is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Because everybody knows I go to do all the places and do all the things, I'm going to skip that. I do want to congratulate G-Trans again for their awards dinner. That was a great event. And our Parks and Rec holiday dinner the other day, Sunday, that was great. And then, of course, I went to all my other meetings. But because this is our last meeting of the year, and I think that's a great note for us to go out on as a city as we talk about success. Our success is breeding more success as we continue to move forward. And the success has to do with all of us, our community, our staff, all the employees that make us who we are. I want to acknowledge them at this time and place right now. We want to make sure we give them their flowers. So as we keep moving forward, as Councilwoman Francis said, this is just the beginning of new things to come. The things that we've done in regards to transparency, being a responsive government, having high street quality in the state of California, lighting plans, tree plans, park plans. Now we're working on a homeless plan. We have really moved the needle in the past 6 to 7 years in regards to the things that we're doing. We came through the worst part of a pandemic. We made some tough decisions, but now we're better for it as an organization, as a community. And now we're actually celebrating those fruits as well as saving money. We're fiscally sound. If you look at our audits, and even though we all don't agree on the council, we always put Gardena first, and we are still getting things done. And I want to thank my colleagues and everybody for the time that you put in and the effort that you put in and making sure that we're a top-notch community. As Councilman Tanaka says, we are the jewel of the South Bay. Our next thing is to be the jewel of LA County. And then after that, we'll be the jewel of the state of California. Madam Mayor, so ends my report. Happy holidays to everybody as we move forward. Looking forward to 2022.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Councilmember Francis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since we last met, I attended a virtual conference with Assemblyman Al Marsucci. I attended on Zoom meeting, the last State of Homelessness seminar, the Winter Wonderland of NACO. That was absolutely wonderful. It looked like everybody had a really great time. And then it was the first time we saw the Jolly Trolley. And I also attended the G-Trans Awards Banquet. And I just want to take a moment to mention about the dedication of the G-Trans team. You don't get those awards without, first of all, good leadership, and second of all, a commitment and buy-in from your staff. And they did buy into it. They decided they were going to make safety their number one, and they did that. And that's how they were able to accomplish national awards. So thank you. And I don't know if, as listening to different organizations being named as essential workers, I don't remember hearing municipal bus transportation being named as essential worker, but during this COVID time, a lot of people really, really depended on our bus transportation in order to get to where they needed to be. So thank you, G-Trans and staff. You're absolutely the best. And I hope you continue to go up as one of the songs you played during the awards banquet. I also attended CERT training, the CERT team's holiday potluck. That was really a lot of fun, a lot of good food. I went to Breakfast with Santa, and I attended the Jolly Trolley at Raleigh Park and at Freeman Park. Again, a testament to our wonderful recreation park staff. It was raining all day today, rained last night, but there they were over at Freeman Park, all set up and with Plan B contingency plans in place. And there were quite a few people that came out, quite a long line. So thank you, Recreation Park staff. I've also been attending the Citizens Redistricting Commission, which is about to come to a conclusion. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but after looking at the maps, one of the biggest thing, at least from my point of view, that's going to be happening with these maps as they've finalized it, is that the city of Gardena is going to move out of congressional Maxine's Waters 43rd District into Ted Lieu's 33rd Congressional District. And Ted Lieu includes Malibu, Torrance, the beach cities, and Torrance, the beach cities in Malibu. And if you have a concern and want to comment on that, you can go to the website, wedrawthelines.com, and you're allowed to make public comment. But like I said, we're coming to a conclusion. And I think you do it tonight, and I think also tomorrow, you may also have your public comments. But of course, I believe we need to stay put. The city of Gardena has been used across the years, talking about having its history. I remember we were at the AD 51st and AD 52nd, and they just kind of moved us around. And I really think that is best for our city that we stay put. And as we come to the conclusion of 2021, the city of Gardena certainly has a lot to celebrate. For so many years, we struggled as a city because of our not so good financial status, but we're finally starting to turn the corner. And sometimes, as folks will attest to, you struggle for so long, and then you work hard, you keep at it, And, things started to get better. We started to turn the corner, and I believe that's where we are with our city. And as we come to close 21, I want to encourage everyone to keep on doing what we're doing. Pray for those families that have an empty chair at their Christmas table this year. Pray for those who may not have all that they need. And I just want to thank the council members, my colleagues, for anything can be said about us. We're very passionate about our city and what should be done. Also, I'm looking forward next year to creating a greater vision for our city as we move forward. And even though, don't be discouraged about all the bad news about these new variants and all that. Keep wearing your mask, keep practicing your social distance, keep sanitizing, and we're going to get through this. Better days are ahead, as we're witnessing in the city of Gardena. So thank you, and happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you all.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Let's see. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm kind of going to do what Councilman Henderson did. I mean, there's just standing committees that we go to all the time, but I think the important ones is the city functions. Going to the Rotary's gobble and feeding people, going to the city tree lighting, Santa Claus showing off our new trolley, G-Trans, the recognition. I think we had one bus driver that was like 21 years with perfect driving record with no accidents. I mean, come on, that's something that shows how much training, dedication, and how much our people really pay attention to their jobs and keeping our city safe. The Tri-City CERT, that was a great event because those are all volunteers that in a major event like an earthquake or, God forbid, like the tornadoes in Kentucky, we have a bunch of volunteers that will get together with their radios and coordinate and make sure that, we're all safe and that the things are put in place to keep people safe. Went to Raleigh Park and did Santa. I think this was a really great event because, the kids had time to sit with and talk with Santa. They took pictures, they had games, got free animals. The hot chocolate was really good, so I appreciate that. And it's just those kind of things that we do as a city. And I think Mark said it best, is that we do things that nobody else does. If you look at the city of Gardena and all the events that our people put on for our community, for our citizens, for our children, for the donations that they bring in, nobody does what we do. I mean, nobody does what we do. And I'm proud because other cities ask me, how do we do it? Well, it's the dedication of the employees that we have that work hard for our city, work hard for our community, that they put their heart and soul into everything that happens in our city. Our events are just awesome. And so, if you look around, it's not just one department. It's usually Parks and Recs and Human Services, but everybody gets involved. Most of them are on their own time. They come out, bring their families just to say, you know what, I'm a part of this great city. So I'm proud that, being a member of the city for as long as I have and living here for as long as I have, nobody does what we do. And I'm really thankful for that. So as we get into this year, if you look at 2017 when we got elected, look at the accomplishments that we have taken on and done. Our city is in such a great place right now. We got to thank the city manager. We thank the finance committee. We thank all the department heads for pulling together and making us what we are. We're solvent. We're solid. We're in better shape than any city in the South Bay as far as finances and things. So I just want to thank everybody in this city that works here, that lives here. We appreciate everything that you sacrifice for, everything that you push forward for, and the support that you give us as a city council to make those decisions for you. So I'm hoping next year will be twice as good as this year, even with COVID. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'm just praying that your new year will be the best new year ever. And so I thank you all for this year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. For myself, since the last city council meeting, as was mentioned, some of our typical monthly things that we all attend, our board meetings, mine, CCGA, sanitation. This month, I attended the 2021 Conference of Mayors that Eric Garcetti has for the mayors in the LA County area. Also, the G3 Rosecrans grand opening on Rosecrans Avenue. Actually, all the council members were there for that one there. And it's always great when we get to open up a new development. And I've had people coming up to me asking about that development. And I was just sorry to say that they're already sold out, but don't worry, more are coming. So that was a good thing. It was a really exciting day for all of us. On that same day, Genesis Church, I got a chance to participate with their food giveaway. A few minutes later, I attended, I believe it was called Wobble Before You Gobble at Raleigh Park, where it was this really cool exercise kind of almost like a line dancing kind of thing. Everybody was doing just in preparation for all the food that we're probably going to eat for the holiday season. So I want to thank the Parks and Rec for working with the organization that put that on. Also, I attended Al Marsucci's community virtual coffee event. That was a good event as well, with a lot of great feedback that we had from residents in the Gardena area. And even afterwards, some of them who continue to follow up by email, being able to talk to them and help them out with some of the concerns that they had. Also, I attended the COG Executive Legislative Meeting, the ADAP Awards Ceremony. I was actually the keynote speaker for their Red Ribbon Awards Ceremony. And on that same day, I attended the Winter Wonderland and the tree lighting. But I just want to make a quick comment about Winter Wonderland. It just so happened I had to come a little earlier that day. And seeing the staff out there, even though the event didn't start until 1 o'clock, and I know the staff always does this, but to see the staff out as early as they were, putting things together and working because they had a deadline of 1 o'clock was awesome. Seeing all the different departments out there. It wasn't just Parks and Rec, but it was Public Works out there. It was, I think, I'm not sure if it was Explorers or some of the young people with the PD as far as they started kind of barricading the streets off there. But it was just great seeing everybody coming together with a common goal of making sure our Winter Wonderland turned out great. So I just want to give a special thank you to all those people who did that. That was fun. As I mentioned, the tree lighting ceremony, the G-Trans Awards ceremony. I'm still on like cloud 9 with that one. In fact, every time we get a chance to see a G-Trans employee just out in the street walking around with their uniform on, we just have to kind of give them a high five and congratulate them on getting their 2 safety awards. Also, I attended Breakfast with Santa, the Parks and Rec holiday party, Carnelian HOA holiday party went by there. And then also the Elks had a distribution of bears that we had made for them at the Build-A-Bear that we gave out to the South Bay Regional Center to the young people there. So that was a lot of fun. It was a drive-by event. Also, the annual employee tree trimming party, the CERT holiday party, the WIBS award ceremony. And I have a really great story to tell you about that one really quickly. So I got a phone call. I'm trying to remember. I think it was from Vaughn's. And the store manager had mentioned that they have job openings there. And he didn't know, like, do I get in contact with Gardena or just what? And we called up the WIB and said, hey, can, you coordinate with Vaughn's to see if you can get employees over there. And my understanding was at the award ceremony, they recognized a young lady who actually was able to get a job at Vaughn's. And she was actually, I believe she was disabled, to get a job, to be able to be on her own and even get herself an apartment. So it was really exciting to just hear those great stories that the WIB had at their award ceremony. Also attended a finance meeting, the Jolly Trolley at Raleigh Park. Then also I got the opportunity to attend the 46th annual installation of officers for Southwest Association of Realtors. And my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem, joined me as well, as I got to swear in my sister as the 2022 president of the association. So that was a lot of fun as well. And later on that day, I got a chance to attend Winter Wonderland for the unincorporated part of Gardena, which is on Gardena Boulevard, but east of Vermont. They were doing an event there, and got a chance to just kind of go there and hang out and see all the great things that they were doing as well. Joe Buscano was nice enough to invite us over to attend their Winter Wonderland with them as well. And then just lastly, we've mentioned this several times tonight, but I once again just want to congratulate all of our employees on the process that they went through to help us get this, or to be awarded this $8.5 million. I mean, what we're going to be able to do with that is going to be awesome for our aquatic center, as well as now that we just purchased the Chase building, we're going to be able to move forward with that so that now we can offer services in the north side of town. And I'm really, really excited about that because this is something that the community's been asking for since as far back as I can remember when I first got involved with Gardena back in 1999. We want to see more things here on the north side of town. And now I'm happy that the city of Gardena has purchased this property, and we're going to see that happen probably very quickly. And lastly, I just want to thank the entire city council for all that you guys do throughout the entire year, as well as all of the employees that we did not get a chance to mention by name. You guys go over and beyond. We see it every day. Maybe we don't always get a chance to tell you thank you, but we appreciate it, all of us. And our residents appreciate it too. There's so many of you guys who are our first contact to the community, and just your smiles that you give people, the time that you take to help them, that extra time on the phone that you spend explaining things to them, and just your courteous ways to them. We hear that back on our end, and I just want to thank you for all of that, because at the end of the day, this is a team effort, and it makes us all great here in the city of Gardena. So with that, I just want to thank you. And with that, that ends my report, and turn it over to Councilmember Cascani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended all the events that was mentioned from my colleague earlier. I don't want to go over it all over again. And I just want to wish everybody, my Gardena family, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. And I just wish everybody safe and healthy upcoming new year. And I want to congratulate G-Trans, even though I wasn't able to attend the celebration party. I was out of country, but I hear there was a fun event. So I just want to congratulate G-Trans and my colleagues, on council. We go through a lot, and you guys work hard to put everything together, and united we can move forward, and we can make Gardena a better place to live. So again, I just really want to wish Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and to all my Gardena family. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to remembrances here. Tonight we're going to adjourn in memory of Katsumi Sugimoto, who was 96 years of age. Mr. Sugimoto was a World War II Army veteran. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Dolores Orozco, who was 72 years of age and the beloved grandmother of Alejandra Orozco. Our administrative analysis in the city manager's office, or commonly known to us as our secretary. Also going to adjourn in memory of Julius C. Crofton, who was 76 years of age and a longtime resident of Gardena, father of 5 children and beloved brother of Laverne Knight. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Jessie Hamilton, longtime Gardena resident, beloved wife of the late Arnold Hamilton, and mother of Pamela Stevens. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to the closed session portion of the City Council meeting at 7 p.m., followed by the regular City Council meeting at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 11, 2022. We are adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.
New Year, Happy
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone.
See you next year.
I know, right? Let me get out of